this is Danny the Count Coker.
Hey, this is comedian, author, and most important, vintage race car driver Adam Carolla.
Hi, this is Shirley Cha-Cha Muldowney.
I'm John Forrest.
Hey, this is Jack Roush.
And you're listening to Nostalgic Radio and Cars.
That's Nostalgic Radio and Cars with the most fascinating and legendary names in motorsports every Tuesday from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Hey guys, this is Audra Christian over at Tan Talk Radio. I'm inviting you to listen to my new show, The Audra Christian Show and the Real State of Real Estate. We plan on focusing on everything that affects your home in the Tampa Bay area. I love being a realtor, would love to guide you into buying your next house or selling your next house. Come listen to everything that affects real estate in the Tampa Bay area. Tan Talk Radio, every Tuesday, 4 p.m., 1340 a.m.
Hi, I'm Chris Steiner, host of Liberation Station radio show, to say here's to your health, personally, economically, and ecologically. Teaching the news others lose proves that's what you can truly use. Bringing you credentialed and degreed authorities, accomplished activists, the news-making pioneers who change the course of conversations for the better. And you might be surprised to find are often among the majority. It's not much of a talk show, more of a do show. Liberation Station radio show, Tuesdays 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. TheLiberationStation.com.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
It's now time for Connecting Caregivers with author, speaker, caregiver advocate, and talk show host Linda Burhans, the gal who cares for caregivers.
Around the world today, it's time to lift you up. It's time to celebrate. Good afternoon and welcome to Connecting Caregivers with me, Linda Burhans, the gal who cares for the caregivers with love, laughter, and lessons learned on the show where you can find help and hope, because we have a whole lot of that stuff today. And with me, as always, is my best friend, my co-host, and my sidekick, not psychic, Lynn Thornley.
Good afternoon.
How are you today?
I'm doing really well, and I don't think the people up north are going to think it's a terrible thing because it's snowing and they're getting a real blizzard, but we have bad allergies down here.
Oh, well, we can't have everything.
I don't like them, but I guess it's better than the snow. Yeah, my neighbor's son was supposed to come for his birthday. Snowed out. Can't.
Well, Bob was supposed to go away for his friend who's ill, and everything's iced out.
In Texas?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, it's bad, but it is in the 80s here.
And with us today, we have my friend Jason Martino from Area Agency on Aging. How are you today?
I'm awesome, Linda.
So glad that you're here. Anne-Marie Winter was supposed to be with us, but she's not feeling, she's a little under the weather. So Anne-Marie, we love you and we hope you feel better.
Yeah,
yes.
She really regrets not being here.
And she sounded so sad on the phone. I talked to her. So
she looks pitiful.
She'll have to come another day.
Yes, she can.
Come back another day.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to give a shout out to our newest listeners. We have Celeste in Sun City. We have Maribel in St. Pete, and we have Debbie in Largo.
Oh, welcome, ladies. Maribel, how cute is that?
Yeah, so like I always say, there's plenty of room around the Connecting Caregivers table for new listeners, whether you listen to the show live or whether you listen on YouTube or Facebook or Apple or wherever they'll take us. We're just here to help in any way we can. So, yeah, it's been a pretty busy week, and there's a lot of good things going on with support groups and workshops. Some things are starting live, which I think is really good because people really need to get out and see each other.
We went out this week.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah, we went the other night to Wind Down Wednesday. It was a networking thing for professionals, and it was just nice to see people.
Where is that?
It was at
Fat Cat Tavern.
Yes.
Oh, and then we also went to the Hearts and Hope dinner.
That was the week before.
That was down at Beaver Brewery.
Mm.
And that was fabulous. That's sponsored by Griswold, and they give all awards for people in the community for just good work and everything. And it was just fabulous just to see people.
I love the venues that they were holding that at.
Yeah, and Frank Pasco was there playing with his band.
Yes, and he was there the other night too.
Yes, Frank's just
Gets
absolutely
around.
He's really stepped up to the bat with being the new president with BLS, because there's a lot of committees, there's a lot of work, and there's a lot of stuff, and he's in it. And he's just there. And he's done so much over the years with Silver Santas and just everything that Frank does, even with his company, where he finds places for people to live when it's time for them to look for an alternate community or something. And this was probably maybe like a year ago. So Frank had this one guy who wanted to move into this community. He really liked it. But he was like $100 a month short. Like he just wouldn't be able to move in there. He plays the piano. So Frank got him a job there as a piano player.
That's awesome.
Is that great?
I met him a couple of years ago. He's a real go-getter. For sure.
Yeah. That's the kind of people you want. You know, years ago, A Place for Mom. Have you heard of them? They had a lot of commercials on TV and everything. And so they wanted to drop a lot of money on my radio show. And I was like, no, I don't like you. Because what they do is you fill like a form online and then you get 100 telemarketers calling you and mailing you so many brochures and everything. It doesn't help you at all.
No.
I want Frank to go over there and say, what kind of place do you like? A big place, a small place? You know, what is this and what is that? And then take you by the hand and bring you there.
It's a big transition. You need people like that.
Well, a friend of mine, Mama Rose. So Mama Rose is 98. I interview her a lot and stuff. We've just become very good friends. So recently her family said they think it might be time for her to go into a community. But no one wants to say that to her. So they always call me up when there's a transition. So I call up Mama Rose and I go, so there's a place they think would be a good place for her. And I call her up and I go, hey, Mama, I'm going to come pick you up for lunch. I said, a friend of mine is looking for a place for her mom to move into, and her mom's about your age. So could you go to this place with me and tell me, like, do you think it's really nice and what the food is like and everything? And by the time we left that day, she's like, I love it here. If she wants to move in, maybe we could be neighbors.
Your plan worked well.
I want to see who you're going to bring to be with her.
I don't know. But it's a whole big thing about letting them make the decision. Letting them make the decision.
It's important. It's important. It should be.
My granddaughter said to me recently when I was in Germany, she goes, Grandma, Devin and I have been talking and you can't stay living where you live. I'm like, excuse me? She goes, you have an upstairs and downstairs. I said, I moved into that place with an upstairs and downstairs because that's what's going to keep me alive, going upstairs and downstairs. I said, when the day comes I can't, you're going to buy me one of them scooter chairs and it's going to go up the stairs. So it's kind of kind they were thinking of me.
And you told them you were thinking forward, right?
And we need the conversation. We need the conversation because maybe they would think, no, Grandma would want to go somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Grandma needs to tell you now, this is what I like. So I'm so glad that you're here today. And we have so many things to talk about, Jason. So let's talk a little bit about what Area Agency on Aging is.
Sure. You want the Reader's Digest or you want the long version of that?
Whatever you think our listeners need to hear.
I'll give you the finer points of that. So a little bit of the foundation is hopefully some of your listeners and your viewers know what the Older Americans Act is. It's a really neat piece of legislation that came out in 1965. And that really promulgated area agencies on aging to be born nationwide. We came about in 1974, and we are a private not-for-profit agency. We work very closely with our state unit on aging, which is the Department of Elder Affairs, who seats themselves up in Tallahassee. They are our funding partner. We take federal and state funding, and we do requests for proposals, and we end up going to contract with a lot of really, really cool organizations within Pasco and Pinellas counties. And these organizations provide different types of services, what we call home and community-based services, to keep seniors in their home for as long as they possibly can. People
don't know where to turn.
They don't. And we have a helpline that we're probably going to talk a little bit about today as well. But there is a place for seniors in assisted living facilities, and there is a place for seniors in skilled nursing facilities. But many of our seniors out there want to stay at home as long as they possibly can. We can help them by offering one or two different services, maybe even a case manager in there to promote that independence. So.
Yeah, I mean, I've had caregivers in my support groups that have gone through programs through Area Agency on Aging and got respite care, got counseling for themselves, and just some great programs that are out there that people just don't know about.
Yep, we're constantly innovating. When we see gaps in the community, we're trying to fill those gaps with different types of innovative services. And now that we're in the 21st century, we're really launching into technology too, and that's really cool. So,
you just gave away 1,000 Ring doorbells.
We did. We had a partnership with Ring, the for-profit company that handles some of the security systems out there. They gave us 1,000 Ring doorbells, and we were able to put them into 1,000 of our clients' hands. They handled the installation, the cost, and the purchase of the unit, and the subscription, because many of us that have our own systems like that, we have to pay a small subscription fee.
Yeah, it's like $30 a year.
Yeah, but that adds up. $30 is $30 for a lot of people.
Yeah,
for a lot of people, it
is.
Yeah, so they did that, and they also donated money to us to use for unmet needs. And Lord knows we have unmet needs out there, so we're really going to be having a good time trying to plug that money in where it needs to be at.
Yeah.
Well, Ring. If I get one, I'm getting Ring.
Yeah, I love Ring. one thing I always say is I'm so blessed to be in this area because we really have a lot of people here that want to work together.
Yep.
And want to find solutions. And it's no baloney, not like you're stepping on my toes. You know, if my company's not best for you, I know somebody who is.
Yep. We're super rich in resources. That's how we describe it around here.
Well, it is because we have like a senior citizen about every 2 square inches in Pinellas County. I think they said there's more senior citizens per square inch in Pinellas County than anywhere else in the United States.
30% of our county, a little over actually, close to 33.
Is it 30?
Yeah, 33% are 60 and older. And then,
Oh, you mean I thought you meant 80 and older.
and then 30% of those 60 and older, they're living alone. So we have some real issues to take care of out there.
Yeah, and there's a lot of resources with that. You know, during COVID time, my daughter's a hairdresser. So she started going to some client's house and cutting their hair outside for them.
That's awesome.
Which was fabulous. But now she's going into clients' houses and she's like, Mom, the house is filthy.
Yeah.
Oh, Mom. So she ended up starting a cleaning service because I used to own a cleaning franchise. So she knew it all. So she has a whole team now that works with her and cleans houses and stuff. But
look how she evolved by just accommodating folks that couldn't get to the barbershop or to the beauty salon where she can go in there and then she get to see the environment. So hopefully she knows who to call to try to make her.
So the best deal is, so she calls me and she goes, so Mom, I went over to Harry's house today to cut his hair. I went in his mobile home. He has a gaping hole in his floor with a piece of plywood laying on top of it.
Oh, no.
She goes, Mom, what do we do? I don't know. He lives in Largo. I'm like, thank you. So I called Joel Quattlebaum.
Mm-hmm. I know Joel
and I go,
very well.
Joel, could you do a welfare check for me? And he usually gets back to me right away. I didn't hear from him for like 4 days. He called me back 4 days later. He goes, well, Harry's getting a new floor. He's getting a wheelchair lift, all from a grant.
Joe's a busy guy.
Yeah. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
He was part of my last conference. He'll be part of the next conference because he's got a lot of good information. Because a lot of times people are afraid if I call the police, something bad is going to happen.
Yeah.
No, if you call the police, if you call Joel, something good is going to happen.
Yeah, you're right. Not only is he law enforcement, but he's really a good liaison for the social service network that's out there. We're really, and he's really trying to push the button on getting other law enforcement agencies.
It's crazy.
Yeah, to do the same thing.
Only Largo, Seminole, why not?
Yeah.
Well, he told me that his salary is paid by a grant.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So why can't everybody else get that grant? Why can't Seminole? So
I'm not sure.
I've been complaining to the mayor of Seminole. We'll see. But why not?
What if anything happens to
We have the seniors here.
Yep.
If anything happens to Linda, I'm just going to go pick her up and bring her over to my house in Largo.
There you go.
And we call Joel and he'll take care of us.
Poor Joel. He's a busy guy for sure.
Yes. He came to my birthday party.
Did he? Right?
We had a drive by. It was COVID in 2020.
He rang his little siren and everything.
Well, hopefully if I invite him to mine, then he'll come too.
Hopefully. But you know what's a great thing about Joel,
my friend.
Yeah, I'm not so sure.
I was going to say what a great thing is about Joel, too, is somebody will ask him to do a welfare check on their parents or whatever. They live in another state. And lots of times Joel gets there, they don't want to let him in the house.
Yeah.
So he's just so kind. And he's like, well, would it be all right if I stop by in like another 2 weeks to see if you're okay? And he does.
Yeah.
And then maybe he goes back in another 2 weeks, but he gets in.
He eventually gets his foot in the door.
And they trust him.
He touts his relationship with his grandparents is what made him the man that he is today.
Yeah.
I totally believe that. I think we share that same experience that I had with my grandparents as well.
Because it's unusual for a young man to be so empathetic with older people. And
so what's your experience with your grandparents?
I've known them for all of my life. I was very close with them. I was also very close with my great grandfather. And so he eventually passed when I was 12 years old. And he's actually the whole reason why I started advocating for seniors and pursuing anthropology and gerontology. He unfortunately lived in a assisted living facility when he could not care for himself anymore, and he needed that extra help. They were one of the first assisted living facilities in, I'll just say Pinellas County. And my grandmom and I used to go and visit him. And normally he would be jovial and approachable. And we started noticing that he was not that way anymore. He eventually passed away, but we come to find out that he was being abused there. And I took that so hard that from that point on, it still breaks my heart even to think about it. So I started to think about that even as a young adolescent, that I wouldn't stand for that. And that actually set the course for my direction today. I think he'd be very proud of me if he did. He was a great guy, an artist and a carpenter, and he used his hands on everything. And sometimes cantankerous, but at the same time,
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's part of the fun.
We're allowed to feel exactly what we want to feel. So,
Well, my grandson lives with me. He'll be 18 next month. So there's always a lot of kids around my house and everything. They come in. I'm like, pull out your phone, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And you guys need to know about aging. And you guys need to know about Alzheimer's and dementia because they're going to be taking care of us.
Yeah.
And at least today we're having the conversation. When I first started doing this 15 years ago, I couldn't even help caregivers because they weren't caregivers. I am the faithful spouse. Yeah. I am the good daughter. I'm not a caregiver. Yeah, you are.
My pessimistic side says sometimes our younger generation grows up a little innate ageist because the world revolves around them. They don't think forward on some of that stuff. And we still have those issues with even older adults when they're not really thinking about what it's going to take to stay in place for the rest of their life and start to plan that way. So that's kind of another function that we do is we try to educate people, explore it, have them explore different types of avenues that they can look at. So when they get to a point of crisis, it's not culture shock for them, and then they know what's out there and they can potentially start to utilize it.
Because there's so many ways to avoid the crisis.
There is.
And most of it is just with preparation. I mean, we plan for our holidays, we plan for vacation, we plan for this. We don't plan for our senior years.
Yeah, we do that for hurricanes. Why not for everything else?
Exactly. It's like I say, you get car insurance. Hopefully you're not going to have an accident, but you get car insurance in case you do.
Yep.
And homeowners insurance. You're not hoping for a flood, but in case you do. Well, you need other things for yourself as you're aging as a senior too.
Yeah.
That you have in place so that, because things are going to happen. They're just going to happen.
They are.
Should be mandatory to have long-term care and different things.
That would be fabulous. That would be, because they don't even discuss that, I doubt, in schools today or anything like that.
I've never heard of it.
I got long-term care when I was 40.
Did you really?
Yeah, well, my husband was 20 years older than me. He was getting it. I wanted it.
Yeah, you should.
It's good you did.
But that was pretty forward thinking on your behalf. At 40 years old, thinking that forward.
And it's good because it's important because we're all going to need some kind of help. I mean,
it's inevitable at some point.
Right, because who can take care of us 24/7?
Well, people with children don't think as much. I don't have children.
No.
So you have to think more because, my nieces, they'll take, and you don't want your kids looking after you either.
No, you don't. And
especially if they're not going to be good to you.
No. And they're taking care of their kids. And in Florida, lots of times the kids don't live here. Everybody came down here, to retire down here in sunny Florida. The kids are up north somewhere.
And that's a difficult situation. I think we're also going to talk a little bit about that today too, because that is.
Let's talk about it right now.
Sure. Yeah.
So there's an issue with seniors down here that their people upstate or whatever don't even know that they need help. Mm-hmm. They don't even know what's going on. I try to say to caregivers all the time, if you're a long distance caregiver, and now it's a little better because things are being lifted and we can travel again. If you call up mom's going to say, "Oh, great, everything is fine." She's not going to tell you that dad hasn't pooped in 4 days, or that she fell and her leg is bruised. And I suggest to long distance caregivers, come down and visit unexpectedly, because if you're planning, they can make everything really good because I don't want my kids to have to be responsible for me or anything like that.
Or interfering with me.
Yeah. And if you can, stay for a week.
Yeah.
Because those 2 days on the weekend where mom is up and dad is up and everything is good is not going to really give you a true picture of what's going on.
Yeah. I love the fact that you said unexpectedly. One of the things that we teach callers that are getting ready to transition into institutions like ALFs and skilled nursing facilities is not only, meet with the director and schedule that time to go in there, but also just do a drop by whenever you want to and just see if it's still the same place that you saw when everything was nice and pretty at that time.
And it's hard because, there are many fabulous communities out there and there are some that aren't as fabulous. And it's hard. Like myself, I don't partner with a lot of communities because I can't babysit them. So it could be the best community in town, and a year later there's new management, or that just all the staff has changed, and now I don't want to send my dog there.
Yep.
So it's really important that you talk to your neighbors, that you talk to other people that live in that community, not just to the salespeople that are going to show you, the beautiful lobby and everything's all fancy and we have steak for dinner.
Yeah, and the Agency for Healthcare Administration, who is charged with doing the oversight over a lot of these facilities, they publish their reports online too. So there's a section that we can go to and we can take a look and see what kind of violations they have, and
really,
and see if that's consistent with what we want.
Wow,
yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, because these are both the loved one and the caregiver are vulnerable. It's not just the loved ones. The caregivers are so tired and burned out. They're in a very vulnerable situation. That's why any of the information I always bring to them, I'm really careful of what information I bring because they trust me.
Yeah.
And I want them to know wherever they go, we're good.
I trust you too, Linda.
Oh, thank you.
And you too, Linda.
Linda, I don't really know. So let's talk about some of the programs you provide.
Oh, we have so many. Earlier, I spoke about us receiving federal funding and state, what we call general revenue funding. The federal funding that we receive is called Older Americans Act funding. I said that a little bit earlier. And that supplies us with the ability to provide a lot of independent types of services. So it could fund an agency providing home delivered meals. What you might hear is Meals on Wheels in the community. Congregate meals, where somebody would actually go to a site and sit with other people in their cohort and kind of reduce isolation on their part.
Oh, I love that.
And that's starting to come back into play after
I'd
the
rather
pandemic.
you bring it to my house.
Yeah. A lot of people would.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the home delivered meals is really for those that really can't get out, the homebound people. But we have people that can help with the cleaning of the home, the light duty kind of stuff, the vacuuming, maybe some laundry, some meal prep. And then we also have a service called Chore, where they get in there and they really get the industrial stuff done, cleaning the fans, cleaning the screens, and they're doing that winter stuff and that summer stuff that we all hate to do. And the folks that we're taking care of really don't have the ability to do anymore.
Right.
Transportation, it provides people with trips to get to medical appointments, to shopping appointments, to adult daycare services, to one other destination that I'm forgetting. And then we also have counseling, mental health counseling. We're providing that now in the community. Yes. So it's
important.
And do they call you or do they have to go online to find out about this?
We have a helpline. And that helpline, I wrote down some statistics just to make sure I was accurate today. But we have a helpline, and I'll say the number out loud for everybody. I don't know if you guys run any kind of graphics or anything, but the number for our helpline is 1-800-963-5337. We also use another number. It's area code 217-8111.
And I'll put all that information in the description of the show so people can go back and look for it.
Thank you.
If they want.
Yeah, thank you very much. Legal assistance. We also provide that under the Older Americans Act. It's for civil legal needs, not necessarily criminal. But you'd be surprised how many civil legal needs are out there, or civil legal needs that people don't even understand that they have going on, that they just need to be kind of diagnosed. It happens a lot.
Well, you get a lot of scam calls. I had a scam call, and they said I was going to jail if I didn't deliver money, and I have a service that I can call, and they said that would never happen. So that's a great service for people.
I'm glad you're not in jail, and you're living proof that you're here
I
today.
know.
All right, we need to take a break for a minute and hear from our wonderful partners, because you know the deal. If you don't hear from them, you don't hear from me, so don't go away.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Are you looking for compassionate and dependable home care for you or a loved one? Assisting Hands Home Care, serving Pinellas and Pasco counties, can help.
The day came that taking care of my mother was no longer the best thing for me or for her. Between kids and a job, I couldn't give her the attention she needed and deserved, and I was overwhelmed. So I reached out to Assisting Hands Home Care. Now I can see what an important decision that was, and I feel confident that my mother has compassionate and dependable caregivers who help her to stay happy, healthy, and home. Today, I'm able to visit with my mother and enjoy our time together, which is exactly what we both needed.
Assisting Hands Home Care. Call today for your free in-home consultation. In Pinellas, call 727-748-4211 or visit assistinghands.com. When you can't do it all, give Assisting Hands a call.
Arden Courts is not just a place to live. It's a place to call home. Residential living combined with quality caregiving. This is the philosophy behind Arden Courts. Communities created exclusively for individuals with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia who would benefit from a safe and structured environment. For additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides, call 888-478-2410 to locate a community nearest you. Inquire about our educational seminars, resource library, or support groups, or simply feel free to ask questions you may have about Alzheimer's and related dementias. At Arden Courts, we know, we understand, and we can help because memory care is all we do. Remember, call 888-478-2410 2410 for additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides.
Sean W. Scott has been practicing elder law and qualifying clients for Medicaid for over 30 years. While his practice is in all areas of estate planning, such as durable power of attorney, healthcare surrogates, and wills, he also prides himself on having a 100% accuracy rate on getting clients approved for Medicaid. Why Medicaid, you may ask? Do you want to pay up to $16,000 a month for a nursing home should the time come? Obviously, no one wants to have to endure this cost. So even though you may have planned well for retirement, the reality is things happen. Planning ahead is never too soon. You need to make sure your income and assets are protected so that you can take care of you and your loved ones. Florida law is very specific on how and what is protected and how to protect it. Give Sean a call. He can help. 727-539-0181. That's 727-539-0181.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
And we're back. And hopefully Dr. Schumann will be calling in a little bit, but I'm not sure because
he's a busy man.
The chiropractic office was closed today because he calls in and gives a tip for caregivers.
Oh, good.
But if he calls in, we'll just hook up with him when he calls in. All right, Jason, let's talk a little bit further what we were just talking about.
Yeah. So what I was before we went to a commercial break or a sponsor break, I was talking about the federal programs that we have. And those services are really designed for people that still are pretty independent, that just need like one or two services in their lives to keep them independent in the community. The other set of programs that we have are really funded by the state government. Our state legislator understands the importance of keeping seniors at home for as long as possible. So they put their money where their mouth is. And they so we have three state programs that we offer. One is called, and I'm going to reduce all my acronyms because I'm loaded with them. One is what we call a CCE, but it's really community care for the elderly. That's a case managed type of program. So if I was in a position I couldn't really organize or coordinate the different types of services I need somebody to help me do it. That's where this program comes in handy. And that generally serves people that are living alone or maybe even have a caregiver in there as well.
Or you have the 85-year-old woman taking care of the 90-year-old husband.
We see that a lot. Yeah. And even some services where grandmom is taking care of some grandkids because of
and we don't want to say anything about that because we want to keep our grandkids.
That's right.
And sometimes those grandkids are taking care of grandma.
Yeah, it's difficult. And then we have another one that I really want to talk about today. It's called home care for the elderly. Eligibility for this program is pretty easy. You're caring for somebody. So you're a bona fide caregiver, right? You do a lot of your care coordination yourself. Like you are able to find people that will offer you respite or whatever other type of service that's in there. Sometimes you need help from the case manager. There is a case manager in that program. But the important thing about this program is that there's a stipend. It's $160 a month that we'll cut you a check for to cover some of the costs of that care out there. And the reason why I tout that one is because we have wait lists. I mean, let's be fully transparent. We have a lot of funding that we help people out with, but it's just not enough to take care of everybody's needs.
Right.
So there is barely a wait list for that program. So people call our helpline at the numbers that I gave earlier or what you're going to
Can you give that number again, please?
Yeah, it's 1-800-963-5337.
Okay.
Yeah. And so when they call that number, they're going to talk to one of our helpline professionals over there. And that helpline professional, depending on the caller's ability, is either going to give them information so they can make that contact themselves, or they're going to send them to our intake department where we're going to do a pretty good comprehensive assessment. And then we're going to help them become eligible for different programs that we have here.
That could make a world of difference to someone.
It could. You know how many calls we receive a year? I pulled this stat from like 26,604 calls we received in
within
2021.
2 counties.
2 counties, yeah.
Wow.
And many of those calls come from out of state, like you were talking about before with the caregivers that are living up north and they're concerned about mom or dad. So we get those calls and they're really asking questions on behalf of mom and dad, and then we're going through the motions.
There's one other thing I wanted to say about being a long distance caregiver, but I forgot to say it before. So when you come down to visit, go talk to mom's neighbors or maybe her friends at church. Yeah. So one of my caregivers said, yeah, I'll do that. So she went to visit mom and she went over to say hi to the neighbor. And the neighbor said, oh, we were so worried when the ambulance came and took her away 2 weeks ago. Mom never told them any of that. Right. So that's just another tip.
No, why would you?
Caregivers.
No, your neighbors know a whole lot more than you think they do.
Yeah.
My mother's super told me she had a car accident.
Yeah, my mother's neighbors told me my mother had a car accident too.
My mother didn't.
She hit the phone pole backing out of the driveway.
I don't know who my mother hit, but she wasn't telling.
It's the rosy glasses. We see it a lot. And a lot of times, talking about the helpline, when people call and they're asking for assistance, it only behooves them to talk about their whole situation. Displaying a rosy outlook on their life doesn't help them prioritize well for services, because it shows us that they're independent and they don't need that much help. So we always encourage people to talk about everything that's going on in their life, so we can find that right program for them to keep them independent.
I know when my dad died, my mother, she had me and my husband and sister and that, but her biggest problem was she'd never written a check, never paid a bill.
Right.
How do you know when to do it?
Yeah.
Gas in the car.
Well, now you have the issue where I want to pay mom's bill online. Mom's like, no, you have to write a check for that. You can't do that. That's not right.
Yeah. You'll laugh, but I just finally jumped into the 21st century on check writing.
I know.
Still like a check.
It's scary, isn't
I like
it?
a check. I like a hard book.
But I do it for like the government, like when I wanted to pay taxes.
Yeah.
Because sometimes my mail doesn't get through. I don't know, the mail's not
mail's
so great
crazy,
anymore. And then they want to charge me penalties. So I'm like, should I give the government my checkbook number? But yeah, it's so easy, eh?
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. And I was a little nervous about it too.
I know, it's scary.
I'm better now.
Good boy.
We don't have much choice.
So that home care for the elderly program, there are spaces available for people that fit the eligibility. Calling our helpline, asking about that program is great. One of the things that we also try to tell people too is not to triage themselves or diagnose themselves, because there's all these eligibility factors for all the services that we offer. And sometimes we may not do a good job that when we're out outreaching and we talk about that. Well, somebody sometimes listens to us and they say, well, I'm not eligible for that. And they don't pursue it. Well, they may be.
Yeah.
So calling our helpline is the next best thing. They're going to work out all those eligibility things. And if you're not eligible for one, you may be eligible for another program, but let us help you decide that.
Well, they can still refer them somewhere though to get some kind of help.
Yep.
It's not
And
gonna
that
be like,
doesn't
sorry, we
cost
can
any
help
money.
you buy.
Yeah, it's not a call for futility. It's what do you call it? It is
Call for help.
exactly.
And it doesn't cost anything
Yeah.
to ask and get the information.
And it's so true about don't make this situation rosy. If you're having a tough time and you need help, just say it. It's okay.
Yes.
It's okay.
That's tough.
Caregivers feel so bad when they have to say, I'm like a little overwhelmed. I can't. But I want you to say it and get some help and not wait until you're having a heart problem or you're having a knee problem or you're having something else, because then the worst scenario can come true.
Yeah.
There's so many caregivers die before the people they're taking care of.
Yeah. If you don't indicate to us that you're in crisis, we won't know.
No.
And then if you have to go on a wait list for some reason, you will be kind of in a weird spot where maybe you were higher on the wait list. Who knows?
Yeah. So what's the biggest need you find?
Most of the callers, when I was doing some research with my colleagues over there, well, first off, we had 26,604. All right, that was just people calling across the board. But 7,113 of those were actual caregivers. They indicated that they were a caregiver of some sort. That's like 27% of the callers that we received in all of calendar year 21 were actually caregivers. The biggest need, and this is probably no surprise to you, is respite.
Yeah.
They're looking for some time off. They're looking for some help caring for whoever they're caring for, and they're seeking whatever avenue they can possibly do. So that is our biggest need out there, is the respite piece of that.
I have to tell you, I met this new company recently. They've been on the show. They're going to be part of the conference, and they have an app. It's called Circle of. It's a free app for caregivers. So you can go there and you can set up your first circle. Let's say it's your immediate family. So mom fell today or they changed her meds. So you can just go on there and post that. You don't have to call up everybody and go through the whole story with them. And they don't have to hear your sister telling you how you didn't do it right, and all that stuff. But the next circle you can set up can be family and friends or whoever. And you can say, I could use help with laundry. I could use help with this. I could use help with that. And it's so hard for the caregiver to ask for that help. But they kind of feel like they're just typing it into this thing. And then I go on there and I say, laundry, Wednesday, 2:00, I'll be there. Or respite, I'll come play checkers with Uncle Bob for 3 hours, or something. But the caregivers, other people and family members and friends want to help, but they don't know how to.
It's hard to ask.
It's really hard
I
because
used
it's
to
my
ask.
responsibility.
I would hardly ask. I asked when I had something that was so.
When you were desperate.
Yeah, and then didn't get yes out of it. So.
Yeah.
You don't want to ask again.
We're dealing with the resilient generation. The generation that we're still dealing with has been through a whole lot in their lifetime. They're tough. They're used to doing it themselves. We care for people, persons with disabilities. And sometimes we'll be dealing with the senior is 80 years old that's been caring for somebody, let's say, with Down syndrome or another intellectual developmental disability. And they've been doing it since day one, not since their husband or something
sick,
like that.
right?
Asking us for help from that population is like pulling teeth. It's super hard because they know how to do it. They've been doing it the best way they possibly can for such a long time that when it comes to a time where they're in a crisis situation, asking for help is not easy whatsoever.
Well, that was like with my honor flight lady. I had the opportunity to go on honor flight one year.
Oh, awesome.
It was fabulous. And my lady was fabulous. But she was 80 whatever, and she was taking care of her 56-year-old daughter from birth, who had, and her whole thing with me, she didn't want to call anybody. Well, what can I do, Linda?
Yeah.
Well, who's going to take care of her when I go?
56 years of care.
Yeah.
Not 6 years, 56 years.
66 years. 6 years nearly killed me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
56.
Yeah. Yeah. And just reach out to your neighbors when you see things. Sometimes just, there are caregivers everywhere, and we don't know it unless we talk to each other.
Yeah.
A while back, it was probably a month ago, and I was in my mail room, and some lady was taking the mail out of her mailbox, and it fell on the floor, and she started crying. You're like, you're crying because your mail fell on the mailbox? She's like, no, I'm taking care of my mother, and it's just like too much. And there was another lady.
Last straw.
Yep, and there was another lady in the mail room goes, I take care of my mother too. And then there was some conversation there. And I said, I'm a caregiver advocate.
You had a crisis and then a built-in support group right then and there.
Yeah.
But because it's everywhere. So just reach out to people. Because I find what's really sad is when family members said, I really would have helped if I knew. Because some of them are full of baloney when they say that.
Yeah.
No, they say it after the fact.
Some
very
really
easy.
mean it. But some do really mean it. If I knew it was so simple that I could have done the laundry. Or I could have mowed the lawn.
Yeah.
That could make a big difference in somebody's life.
That's a good idea.
Caregivers, she finally said, she came to the support group and she said, I finally let my neighbor mow the lawn. And we're all like, yes. And she goes, but I told him he didn't have to do the edging. We're like, what?
He or she made it easy, didn't they?
Because I don't want you to help me too much.
I know. And people want to help. Some people want to
help. A lot of people want to help.
You have to be careful too. So there's a little bit of a boundary. Yeah. And I guess where that's coming from for me is I get on Nextdoor every once in a while. I'm always looking for like a little bargain that someone's trying to sell. But I read the threads, and some of our good neighbors in our neighborhood, and I live in the western side of St. Pete, they will talk about their neighbor who appears frail, needs a little help. And then the comments that come in through is everybody and their brother wants to help that person out.
Yeah.
And I say to myself, be careful with that. I understand they're 50% of them. Well, maybe 90% of them have good intentions, but there's always some that don't. Right.
Yeah. Always those ones like reading the obituary, see who died, so you robbed the house. You know, you can.
Yeah, exactly. They're pretty creative. We were talking about some of that stuff on break. But all the providers, all the agencies that we work with, they've all been fully vetted. They've all passed level 2 background screenings. They've done everything they can possibly do to show that they're the good people in the world and they want to help people. So that's a good start for us, calling our helpline again, 1-800-963-5337.
Because that can make a difference in someone's life for the person who's being cared for and the caregiver, because many times the caregiver feels like I'm doing the best job I can do and they're just so overwhelmed and they're just so hard to ask for help. And when they finally get that, it makes such a difference.
Yeah. We had talked a little bit about another program that we're offering, and it started with a pilot for us that took off so well that we put our money where our mouth is and we funded this program, but it's an evidence-based program called Savvy Caregiver. And I'm proud to say that I was doing some research. We have evidence-based programs that we offer through our partner Cares for a long, long time. And it deals with falls prevention and it deals with chronic disease management. But there wasn't one out there at all that dealt with what it takes to be a caregiver and trying to strengthen that person's ability to do that, continue it, really. So I found one. I vetted it. It was out of University of Minnesota, which is now it's in the hands of some professionals at Emory University in Georgia. It's a 6-week, 2-hour per week course. It is called Savvy Caregiver. It opens the door and gives these people some tools that they need to continue their journey. It's specifically targeted towards people that are taking care of somebody with Alzheimer's disease or related dementia. And hopefully at the beginning stages, because we want to kind of get to them early so they can, before they get in the burnout stage, right?
Right.
6 modules. One of it talks about appropriate types of activities for that person and how you can foster that. Talks about decision-making models. But one of the biggest things, and going into what Lynn's comment earlier about how hard it is to ask, is that I think it's Module 5, and I've taught this course a couple of times. Module 5 talks about the one's reluctance to ask family, friends, or neighbors for help. And I find, Linda, that it is so hard. People's pride gets in the way before the fall, where they won't ask their family members, whether they're in Massachusetts, California, Nevada, or if they're in Pasco or they're in Pinellas Park. They won't ask their children or those folks to do that additional help. So this module really is designed on trying to encourage them to look at all those informal resources that they have, in addition to the ones that we offer as an agency.
Yeah, and maybe you can just help out a state. You can order groceries online. In Minnesota, it'd be delivered in Seminole.
We do live in the 21st century.
Yeah, so there's a lot of and there are a lot of caregivers. They're taking care of their own family. They have their own kids and everything. But so maybe you fork up a few dollars, or maybe you're the person who helps mom with the paperwork. That can be just so overwhelming for somebody trying to fill out all the paperwork and do that kind of stuff.
It could be something small that has a ripple effect that affects them for the next week or so.
Yeah,
exactly. Yard work, like you were saying, just handling the yard takes away a little psychological anxiety that their grass is getting a little too high. The city might come out there for coaxing point.
Or what do the neighbors think, or whatever?
My sons and I, we try to take care of our neighbor's yard every once in a while.
You know what? You just push in the lawnmower. You just keep going.
What I told my son. I said it's a couple strips. Just go right through it and knock it out for him.
Oh, it's funny. I'm in Kiwanis, and we're doing this membership drive now. I'm the membership chairman. I've been in Kiwanis like 15 years.
Awesome.
And so I'm writing this letter in this morning, and I'm thinking I'm going to put in the letter. I tell my grandchildren all the time, service work is not an option. It's a responsibility. Mm-hmm. This is your community. This is where you're brought up, and you need to do service work in your community.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't think that. But a lot of people do think that, and we just got to get together with those people.
It transcends too, because when the younger generation watches you do it, they're acquiring a pretty cool skill that hopefully they'll transcend for them too.
Yeah, well, we do the Field of Honor every year in Seminole. It's like 480 flags it was this year. Mm-hmm. I got my two youngest grandsons, 7 and 8, out there. I'm like, come on, boys.
There's a lot of flags.
I'm like the youngest person in my group. So
good for you.
And they love it. They love it. They love doing it. They feel good. Grandma, when's the next thing?
Yeah.
When's the next whatever? So I think that's really important. I think it's very important in our communities and speaking to our neighbors and speaking to your churches.
Yeah, they always say, what's that saying? It takes a community to raise a child. It's the same thing for some older adults.
That's what I say all the time. It's so, on the back of my business card. Well, you know what? Let's go to our commercials first, and then we'll come back. Okay, here we go.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Choosing the right chiropractor is an important choice to make. Located in Seminole, the Alexander Spine Center team is trained on the latest chiropractic treatments and technologies. At Alexander Spine Center, you'll find chiropractic and physical therapy care that is safe, effective, and a natural approach to pain and other health-related issues. Chiropractic unlocks your body's potential and natural healing process to ensure your life is a healthy life. We treat clients from the womb to the tomb. Call 727-397-3000 for a free consultation today, or visit our website at www.alexanderspinecenter.com.
They take good care of me twice a week. And did you know they got the Reader's Choice Award for 2019 for the best chiropractic in Pinellas County? So check them out.
Arden Courts is not just a place to live. It's a place to call home. Residential living combined with quality caregiving. This is the philosophy behind Arden Courts. Communities created exclusively for individuals with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia who would benefit from a safe and structured environment. For additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides, call 888-478-2410 to locate a community nearest you. Inquire about our educational seminars, resource library, or support groups, or simply feel free to ask questions you may have about Alzheimer's and related dementias. At Arden Courts, we know, we understand, and we can help because memory care is all we do. Remember, call 888-478-2410 for additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides.
guaranteed to make you laugh through your tears. Linda Burhan's book, Good Night and God Bless, is filled with humor and heartfelt inspiration to aid anyone facing the challenge of caring for a loved one at the end of life. Her story offers hope for human strength and understanding of weaknesses during a difficult time. Life doesn't normally prepare us to become a loved one's caregiver. When it happens, it's usually sudden. A diagnosis of an illness, age-related frailty, dementia, and life suddenly is anything but normal. And because we don't even know what we don't know, where do we turn to for help or guidance? In Connecting Caregivers, Answers to the Questions You Didn't Know You Needed to Ask, Linda offers information, education, and inspiration from her own experience and from experts whose advice, practical tools, and personal stories will empower and guide you. Make sure to add these inspiring books to your collection today. Available on Amazon.com.
Introducing the life-changing Footbar Walker.
I'm Peggy from Danville, Kentucky, and I'm 91 years old. The Footbar Walker revolutionized my care of George. It absolutely benefits the patient and the caregiver both, and that's the beauty of it. It's so easy to use. It folds up just like a dream. I got it in and out of the car without any effort at all. The saving that I made from having to put him in a nursing home came to about $192,000.
Does someone you love use a walker? Do they struggle to get up from a seated position? Are you a caregiver dealing with physical pain and stress as you help your patient? The Footbar Walker was designed to assist not only the patient, but also the caregiver. Patients have more control standing up, and no lifting from the caregiver is required. See how it works at thefootbarwalker.com. That's thefootbarwalker.com. Peggy, would you recommend the Footbar Walker?
Do I ever? I would not be in the health that I'm in today at this age had it not been for the Footbar Walker.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Yes, we love the Footbar Walker. We love Peggy. In fact, at my next conference, May 3rd, 4th, and 5th, we will actually have a visual demonstration of the Footbar Walker with our friends from AE Corner. And if you don't know about AE Corner, you need to go to their website, Adaptive Equipment, or their Facebook page. And they're two physical therapists. And what they do is they find products that are the latest and greatest products to help you in caregiving.
Awesome.
And so each day at the first conference and each day at the new conference at lunchtime, they will be showing us the latest new things for the bathroom or the kitchen or adaptive clothing or whatever it is. So it's all really good stuff.
Excellent
Makes
stuff.
me really, and it's how these like inventions, the Footbar Walker and the meal lifter and everything always comes from trying to help mom or trying to help my loved one.
I like the bathtub.
Invention.
I like the bathtub one. They have this thing, because you know the bathtubs you can walk into? Well, once you get in there, you have to sit where it's cold while the water runs. Well, they have this thing that you put in the bathtub and you pump it up.
Pumped up to the top.
You fill the tub, it pumps up, you sit, you can get on it. And then when you're in there, you let it down and you're in the water. And then when you want to get out,
and push it back up.
Because I like a bath better than a shower, so I'm going to get one of those someday.
That's pretty
And they're like $700. I mean, for people that they're in a rental place or they can't do their bathroom over.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you finish with it, there's big suction cups on it, and you just stick it on the wall and it dries.
I think some of the best inventions come from the users.
Exactly.
That figured it out. Yeah.
That's a fabulous, because I never thought about it. Awfully cold to sit in a tub and let the water run.
Because then what happens is you don't want to bathe. When they don't want to bathe. It's too cold for me. It's too uncomfortable for me.
Yeah,
That's a lot of the things with the adaptive clothing. I've seen people trying to put the sweater on mom, and her arm is all like this, and she's getting bent, and it hurts her. She can just go in like this, and we Velcro up the back or whatever.
Yeah, when I go to conferences, I spend a lot of times in the marketing area too, just to see all the cool things that people have come up with to do it. I've really met some pretty impressive people that really think very holistically about the product that they have.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
None I can tout really off the top of my head right now, but I'm just kind of in awe sometimes what people think about. Well, you saw this product over here, but now take a look at my product.
Yeah, it's fabulous. Yeah, and they just keep coming out. They do weekly videos, AE Corner. They do a lot of really great things. I'll hook you up with them.
Yeah.
And just because every week I'm like, oh my goodness, they have that. Or they have this. So like this new adaptable clothing, it has like Velcro in the front. So if you had like a colostomy bag, you just Velcro it down. It's so easy to change it.
That's awesome.
But I did tell them when it comes to the point that I need adaptable clothing, I just want them to send a 55-year-old guy over my house with blonde hair and blue eyes to help me get dressed.
Is that right?
I think that's all I will need.
There you go. That'll keep you independent, huh?
Yeah. So There's a seminar, a virtual seminar sponsored by Arden Courts by Dr. Tam Cummings coming up Thursday, March 3rd, getting the ducks in a row for your loved one's care. So if you're interested in that, just email me and I will send you the link to register. Also, my friends Maureen and Rulson and Brian LeBlanc that were on the show last week, we had a lot of response after last week's show, but I want to repeat it for people that maybe weren't here last week. They have their new magazine out. It's What to Do After a Dementia Diagnosis. And there's tons of valuable information in here that's really honest and clear and loving and just good. So you can get a digital copy of this. If you would like a digital copy of this, just email me through my website, lindaburhans.com, and I will forward it to them and they will send you a digital copy. I think you would really appreciate it because you know what happens lots of times. You go to the doctor's with mom and the doctor goes, mom has dementia. Here's some medication. Come back in 6 months.
Yeah.
Not what kind of dementia. Not, I say, if mom had cancer, you want to know how long, where, blah, blah, blah. We need to know that.
We can do better, can't we?
Yeah, we can do. And we are doing better.
Yes.
Which is really good.
Mm-hmm.
So what's one of the last things you would like our listeners to hear today?
I don't know. There's so much to talk about that we do. And just to express it, I mean, I can't beat the drum enough about calling our helpline.
That's a good one.
Yeah. And calling when you need something, but also being proactive and calling when you want to just see what's out there.
See what's available.
And
right.
plan for that too. I'm wearing my Shine shirt today.
I'd like to ask what that was.
It's a program we've offered for a number of years, and the acronym for that's SHINE stands for Serving Health Insurance Needs of Elders. So we have about 45 to 50 very seasoned volunteers that have been studying Medicare and sometimes Medicaid for a very, very long time. So we have callers that call in, and there's a big time of the year. It's called the open enrollment period, where people have that opportunity to change over. We help them make those decisions. We help them make the decisions. We don't make the decisions
we
for them.
inform them to make decisions.
Oh, but
Exactly.
that's a tough thing to do.
It's super hard. And sometimes like my grandma, who was in a plan, I won't name the name of it for a while, would say, well, grandma, you should talk to your SHIP counselor over in Washington State. And she'd go, oh, honey, they treat me so well there. And I go, you don't know your options,
yeah,
grandma.
maybe somebody could treat you better.
Or save you some money in some degrees as well, because she was low income when she was still with us. So we have a bunch of seasoned counselors that can help out.
Because I know how much stuff I get in the mail. I just toss it all. I don't even read it because it's too confusing.
It is confusing. It's and it convolutes the whole situation.
Yeah.
So not only do they empower people by making good decisions about their healthcare choices on that, but they also have another 2 programs that might put money back into their pockets, such as the MSP program that will help out with the cost of prescription costs, and then also LIS that will help them take what their Social Security is taking out and put it back in their product. Yeah. So all they have to do is call, and it's free to them. We're not making choices for them. We're just giving them all the information that they need, and they can make that choice.
And someone's talking to them.
Yes. Yes.
That's the whole thing. Talk to me, please.
A real live person. And they don't have to call the federal government for this. They can call our 1-800-963-5337 number, the helpline, to get a hold of that.
Lynn just got a prescription last week or the week before, and they wanted $14.69 a month, $1,469, and she went through RX and got it for $74.
That's quite a difference, isn't it?
Good RX, yeah.
Yeah.
$74.
Yeah, I weigh out my employee insurance sometimes with that, and sometimes I save on one end, and sometimes
you
got to play the game.
It's got to be a very expensive prescription for Good RX to.
You save 50%. That's amazing.
No, it was $1,469. It went down to $74.
Oh, that's way more than 50%. You save like 92 and a half.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's crazy. Yeah. She calls me up. She goes, I have good news.
That's great news.
Because my insurance wouldn't pass it. Because they said, it's not for what you're saying it's for. And I needed it. Took a month. And then I said, to heck with my insurance. And I went to Good RX.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good for you.
All right. So remember, everybody, we have the conference coming up May 3rd, 4th, and 5th. There'll be 21 presenters. We have Dr. Kate McCarty. We have Dr. David Bernstein. Deline Canterbury, the precision pharmacist, is going to be talking about deep prescribing medication, so that we don't take too many medications.
Wow.
Yes.
Very good.
The Joy of Dementia is going to be on there. We just have a bunch of really, Attorney Sean Scott will be on there. We have a lot of really good information for you guys.
You do.
So I appreciate you tuning in this week. I know how valuable your time is just to sit around and listen to us, but you can listen to it anytime you want.
Over and over and over.
Over and
again.
over and over. I know. My grandchildren was like, we're sick of your voice. So am I. We'll see you again next week. Remember, God loves you all the time, and have a delicious day.
Need a helping hand.